It's episode 12 of Survivor China, and last time, Daniela, Hannah, and Julian saw themselves on the bottom after losing Adam at a previous tribal council. Alec meanwhile held all the control on the tribe, and his kingdom's next target was Daniela. With him also winning a boba reward, he took Hannah along with Shelby and Steph with him, and there, he formed a new line of trust with Hannah. Additionally, Alec found himself an idol, but he wasn't the only one to find one because Daniela managed to get the re-hidden merge idol as well. As paranoia flew everywhere throughout the camp due to Daniela's idol, the goal was to flush it and split the vote onto Hannah or Julian. With Alec trying to push his agenda to save Hannah, Steph did not like his intentions and she wanted to keep her friend, Julian. A new plan then came to take out one of Alec's many sheep, and at tribal council, Steph executed this plan with Maria, Roland, Julian, and Daniela, and they sniped Betty out of the game. Now that the dynamics are shifting, what will happen next? We'll find out on this episode. It's night 25, and at the Ravagers camp, Alec, Shelby, Garth, Steph, Maria, and Roland chat. In confessional, Alec says that he was completely blindsided by the vote, mainly because he did not think people would flip their votes against the alliance. He thought there would be whispers to get Daniela to use her idol on herself to idol someone out, so he wanted to just stack the votes on Julian. Clearly, it did not work, and now he has to find out what happened and why it happened. Alec then asks the group if anyone wants to explain what just happened, and Maria apologizes and says she flipped because of the whispering. Alec tells her he feels like there was a clear plan to take Betty out pre-tribal council, because there's no way they coincidentally flipped on Betty with 5 votes there. Roland then says that it is what it is, and they just have to move on from it. Shelby then tells him there's no moving on from it because this alliance has holes, and now they have to repair the holes if they want to advance further together. In confessional, Maria says she's officially done with the Alec alliance. Her and Roland want to reunite with Daniela from now on because that's their best path to the end. Meanwhile, Daniela, Julian, and Hannah are together, and Daniela says she's curious if that whole group over there is fighting now. Julian says they surely are because they just lost Betty in a complete blindside. In confessional, Julian says he is amazed he's still here. He knew his name was out there, but he was not aware all the votes were going his way and not Daniela's. Daniela then asks if they know where the one Steph vote came from, and Hannah says it was her. Daniela and Julian stare at Hannah in silence for a moment, and Hannah explains that she did not think the votes were there anymore to get Betty out. In confessional, Hannah says she doesn't really know how she's going to move forward right now. There are 2 sides, and she has an open avenue to work with Alec. But she can also stick with her current crew of Julian and Daniela, but they are unreliable allies for her. In another confessional, Daniela shakes her head and says she's not even sure what Hannah's intentions are anymore because this girl not only wanted her to use the idol on her, but she also voted Steph for whatever reason. It's just extremely shady. It's now day 26, and Alec is alone with Garth. In confessional, Alec says that his number 1 is Garth because they see eye to eye in the game. He wants to share the information of his idol so that they can use it as leverage to get the numbers back on their side. Alec then tells Garth that they probably lost Steph as a number because she's not talking to him this morning. Garth says he thinks the votes on Julian were the 2 of them, Shelby, and Betty. Maria and Roland admitted they flipped, and Steph didn't, but she's also very quiet. In confessional, Garth says that he trusts Alec, but he also has a very close connection to Steph. While she flipped on the alliance last night, she might not be fully against him yet. He doesn't see a reason to break away from her because she never actually voted for him. She just voted Betty, who quite honestly, everyone found very annoying. Alec then tells Garth that he is about to make him a bit more happy, letting him know he found an idol at the boba shop reward. Garth tells him he's happy about this, but he won't enact that excitement right now in case someone is watching. Alec then tells Garth he plans to tell Steph about this idol so that she can stick with them moving forward, and Garth says it sounds like a good plan. Alec then speaks with Steph alone, telling her he hopes she trusts him despite everything last night. Steph says of course, explaining that she only voted for Betty last night because that was someone she personally couldn't work with. Alex says he understands and that the best quality about their duoship is that they can play two different games while also being aligned. In confessional, Alex says that him and Steph may be at a rocky point of their relationship, but he can hook her back in if he shares his idol with her. He genuinely sees her as one of his most important allies out here, so he needs her back. Alec then shares that he has the idol from the Boba reward, and Steph is shocked and says she's so happy he actually got it and that it wasn't Hannah. Alec then says that they need to continue sticking together. They can sometimes vote differently from each other, but at the end of the day, their main priority should be protecting each other so they reach the end. Right now, they need to watch out for Daniela, Maria, Roland, and Julian, because they could easily form a 4-person group with each other to get the numbers on their side. In confessional, Steph admits she's surprised Alex shared that he has an idol. It's quite risky to do that to someone you don't fully trust, but clearly he trusts her still. He is desperate to regroup. The only obstacle for her is that she doesn't want to burn her current relationships for him, so if he says he wants someone like Julian out, she's not going through with that. Maria, Roland, Daniela, and Hannah chat together, and Maria tells them they need to work as the 4 Phoenixes again. That's their best move at the moment because of the current dynamics of the tribe. In confessional, Maria says she's pushing for original Phoenixes to stay strong. While Shelby isn't really included, she also has a friendly relationship with her, so that could be another number for her to have 5 solid votes going forward. Roland then says he's good with this crew, and Daniela says she likes it as well. In confessional, Daniela says she'll always have trust issues with Maria after what she did at the David vote off. Of course, there's no way she'll decline an alliance with Maria, but it won't last for long. That's a fact. Hannah then chats with Alec, and in confessional, Hannah says that she needs to immediately spill to Alec about this Phoenix alliance because she knows she's on the bottom of it. If she can get Alec to fully trust her, she's suddenly his number 1, and the two of them can use whatever numbers he has to have a strong 5 going into next tribal council. Hannah then tells Alec that she obviously wants to move forward with him, and Alec says he does as well. He feels like their chats recently have been pretty good, and he hopes she feels the same way. Hannah then asks him what he thinks they should do next, and Alex says he wants to know what she wants to do. Whatever she wants, he'll help support it. In confessional, Hannah says that maybe it's a bit too wild to expose this alliance outright with the Phoenix crew. Since Alec is good with whatever she suggests, she'll just push out one name and keep the other Phoenixes in her back pocket if she needs them. Hannah then tells Alec that Daniela needs to go. She has had many lives in this merge, and her time needs to end now before it's too late. Alec says he likes that, but they also need to ensure they find the new merge idol before she gets her hands on it again. Hannah tells him they should go look in that case, so both Alec and Hannah begin searching around camp. In confessional, Alec says he loves this new relationship he has with Hannah. This is such an unexpected duo that nobody will see coming, and now they have a plan to get Daniela out at the next tribal council. Hopefully it works this time. Alec then looks around every bush, and then he approaches a tree and looks up at the branches. But nothing is there. It's now day 27, and the Ravagers stand on the challenge mat for their next immunity challenge. Justin then asks for Roland's necklace back, so he heads up and hands it over to Justin. Justin then says that immunity is back up for grabs, and for today's challenge, everyone will split into teams of 3 by random draw. They must work together to stack 3 stools on top of each other, and then throw a ball up to land it on the top stool. Each person must land 1 ball. The first trio to finish will advance to the other part of this challenge, where they will individually work on their own puzzle and try to solve it before the other 2. The first to finish that puzzle will win immunity, safe from the vote. Losers will be vulnerable at tonight's vote, and someone will be the 14th person voted out and the 4th member of the jury. The trios are now set up by random draw, and we have Maria, Daniela, and Roland as one trio. Then we have Shelby, Steph, and Julian as another trio. Finally, we have Alec, Garth, and Hannah as the final trio. The first stage then begins, and all three trios work together to get the stools on top of each other. Alec, Garth, and Hannah get off to a strong start with Alec stacking all stools on each other without help. As Maria is on Roland's shoulders, Roland says they might be better off doing what Alec did so they don't waste time. Daniela then takes the final stool and bumps it up to the top, so now two trios are onto the ball throwing. Shelby, Steph, and Julian get their third stool up, so they also move on. Alec throws his ball up with ease, so Garth is next for their trio. Roland also gets his ball up with ease, and Garth gets his right afterwards. Shelby now starts attempting her ball, but she doesn't land her first shot. Daniela gets her ball up for her trio, so now Hannah and Maria are the last ones for their trios. Hannah keeps overthrowing hers, and then Maria accidentally knocks down Roland's ball. Meanwhile, Shelby lands her ball finally, so Steph goes ahead and throws her ball, landing it first try. Hannah meanwhile gets her ball up, but at the cost of Alec's ball, so he has to throw his up. Before he can, Julian gets his ball up in one try, making Shelby, Steph, and Julian the winners in a massive comeback. They all cheer, and Maria apologizes to Daniela and Roland for fumbling so hard. On to stage 2, Justin reminds Shelby, Steph, and Julian that they will need to complete a puzzle on their table. The first to finish will win individual immunity. With that, the challenge begins, and all three begin working on their puzzles. All three are off to a slow start, and Steph starts getting some pieces together. Shelby also gets a few pieces in, while Julian is still stuck. Meanwhile on the sidelines, Maria whispers to Roland that they need Julian to lose so they don't become options for the vote for Alec. Julian then starts getting some pieces in, but both Steph and Shelby continue putting pieces in. Steph analyzes her pieces for a moment to figure out how to proceed, while Shelby just tests out every single pieces one after the other. Julian slowly catches up, but Shelby extends further in this puzzle, taking a major lead now. Steph is now falling behind, and Shelby makes quick work, getting piece after piece. She then puts in her final few pieces, and she screams out Justin's name. Justin then confirms that Shelby has won immunity, and Shelby screams out loud. Julian curses out loud and groans to himself, and Maria goes over to hug Shelby, telling her she's so proud of her. Back on the mat, Justin calls up Shelby for her necklace, and she struts to the front. Everyone else cheers her on, and Justin puts the necklace around her neck. Shelby then tells Justin she's so blessed to be wearing this necklace because she was never a challenge beast, but now she can't be called a challenge flop anymore. Justin tells her well done, and he also confirms that she will not go home tonight. As for the rest, someone will be the 14th person voted out and the 4th member of the jury. With that, everyone makes their way back to camp, and in confessional, Maria says she's very happy for Shelby because she has wanted to win at least one challenge this season, and her dream finally came true. Plus, Julian winning would have opened up a door for Alec to target her and Roland because they have a bit of tension in their relationship ever since the Betty vote. But now, there's hope that Alec will target Julian, and she can meanwhile take Julian under her wing to hold the numbers against Alec and his few allies remaining. Back at camp, everyone congratulates Shelby, and Shelby admits she's so surprised she won a puzzle. In confessional, Shelby says that she felt her inner pageant queen step out of retirement and dominate today's immunity challenge. Today was her moment, and she hopes she also made her daughter Miranda proud. Now that she's safe, she's also done playing safe. With immunity around her neck, she can make her move today and solidify her position moving forward. There are some people she wants to move forward with, especially after last tribal council. Shelby, Daniela, and Maria step away from camp together, and Shelby tells them that the dynamics right now feel very fluid. Perhaps they can come together tonight and take out someone like Hannah because of her closeness to Alec lately. In confessional, Shelby says she's taking her shot against Hannah because she wants to bring Alec closer to herself. Hannah isn't working with her, and yet she's getting pretty close to Alec. That needs to be nipped right now before it becomes a problem, and she needs Maria and Daniela on board. Daniela then admits she's surprised by this, but Shelby tells her that Alec is very adamant that he can pull Hannah close to him. If they want to weaken Alec tonight, take out one of his new sheep. Daniela then asks why they can't just take Alec out, but Shelby says they wouldn't have the numbers. Not enough people will agree to it, including herself. Maria then goes to Roland, telling him that the plan tonight is apparently Hannah. Though, it might not be smart for them if they want to work with the Phoenix Strong idea. Roland then tells her it's not worth working with Hannah because she's a very unpredictable ally. In confessional, Roland says that he learned about Hannah's previous vote through Daniela, so hearing that she randomly voted Steph is just showing how unreliable she is with her vote. It's better to remove that factor from the game than work with it. Maria then tells Roland she needs to talk with Daniela later to see what she thinks, and Roland says that sounds good with him. Meanwhile, Alec, Garth, and Steph chat, and Alec asks if they want to do Daniela tonight since she's dangerous. Plus, they have Hannah on board. Garth says he's good with this, and so does Steph. In confessional, Alec says that his goal is to get his crew back together, so Daniela needs to be the target tonight. No split vote, and no plan B. Just keep it simple so people stick to the plan. Shelby later chats with Roland, and she lets him know she really wants to work with him, Maria, Daniela, and Julian going forward. That's 5 people, enough to run the rest of this merge. Roland says he really likes that because they also have common interests in the game, especially now with Hannah as their target. In confessional, Shelby says that she's establishing her endgame right here, right now. Hannah is not in her endgame plans, so she needs to go. After tonight, she can look at the other people not in her plan, which might just be Garth or even Steph. Daniela chats with Hannah, telling her that things actually look a bit dire right now. Hannah asks how come, and Daniela says that she is seeing quite a big push to vote her out. Hannah breathes out heavily, and Daniela tells her not to panic. Right now, they need to find an escape plan, and she has the perfect name. Hannah then asks if Julian is that name, but Daniela says it's Maria. She is the one and only person out here, minus Roland, who is in a showman's. People will look at that and think of them as a double threat. Hannah says she's fully on board in that case, and Daniela says that they need to keep Roland, Shelby, and Julian in the dark because they aren't going to be on board for this. In confessional, Daniela says that she can't just go along with plans at this stage of the game. She is going to weaponize Maria's own strategies against her and snipe her out of this game. It will not only be a legendary move, but it will also be her smartest move. She will manage to get closer to Alec, Garth, Steph, and Hannah, and they can move forward as a unit of 5. Alec later chats with Hannah, telling her that the name he's hearing right now is Daniela. Hannah then warns him that he could be out of the loop because Daniela told her of a huge push against her own name. Daniela is actively trying to save her from Shelby, Maria, Roland, and Julian. It's shocking and bold, but she feels like this is something they need to believe right now. Alec admits he's confused because Shelby is loyal to them, but Hannah says that Shelby knows how to flip on a dime. She flipped on herself and the boys back in pre-merge, which sent Fabian home. She sheeped Daniela for some time and then flipped on her as well, just to work with Maria. Shelby and Maria are a duo, and Maria is a duo with Roland. They need to go for Maria, not Daniela. In confessional, Hannah says she's going to trust Daniela because there's actually no reason for her to distrust her. They never went against each other in this merge, so if Daniela is warning her of a possible threat in their way, maybe she's right. Maybe Maria needs to go. Alec then tells Hannah he's not fully sold on this because it seems like a huge stretch, at least in his eyes. Maybe he can chat with Shelby. Hannah says he can talk with whoever he wants, but if he expects the full truth from everyone, he should think again. Alec later goes to camp and asks Shelby to come chat, but she tells him she's busy chatting with Julian at the moment and needs at least 30 minutes. Alec nods and says he'll wait, and in confessional, Alec admits it's a bit odd for Shelby to hold a 30-minute chat with Julian. The only reason she would want to do that is to try getting on his good side. Could Shelby really be flipping on him to vote Hannah out? Or perhaps even vote himself out? Alec then goes to Steph and Garth, and he yells out for Hannah's name as he sees her in the distance. The four then group up, and Alec tells them that he thinks something is going on. Shelby might be flipping on them in order to vote Hannah out. Hannah backs this and says that Daniela approached her with this information, so if Daniela is telling her this, it only makes sense that she wants to work with them tonight. Steph then asks who the vote is, and Hannah says Maria's name. They can make this a 5-4 vote, and they'll have control for the next few rounds. Garth says he's in, and Alex says he hopes they are right and don't look stupid right now. In confessional, Steph says she's a bit freaked out because suddenly, the plan is to vote out Maria. This is a huge move, and voting her out means actively flipping on Julian. Julian isn't in this new group to take out Maria, so maybe it's not good to move forward with a plan without him being part of it. She can't lose his trust right now. It's night 27, and the Ravagers arrive to Tribal Council and sit down. Justin welcomes them all back to Tribal Council, and he introduces their newest juror, Betty. Justin then tells Shelby that he saw a lot of emotion in her today when she won immunity, so he's curious what that moment was like for her. Shelby then breathes out and says she is getting emotional as we speak. Immunity wasn't something she expected to ever win out here. She's not this challenge beast that someone like Roland is. She thought trivia challenges would be her thing, but clearly not. It's just a very special moment to win this necklace because it's probably the only one she's ever gonna win out here. Justin then turns to Steph, telling her she came close in today's immunity challenge but then fell behind. Steph nods and says she somehow fumbled in the end. It's like her mind switched off. Justin then asks Daniela about the vibe at camp today compared to other days, and Daniela says that it was just a massive scramble just like any other tribal council day. This group is super active gameplay-wise, so as soon as they return from a challenge, it's game on. Justin then asks Alec if this tribe remains to be divided in half, especially after last tribal, and Alec says that wounds are trying to be healed. Tonight could be a night where the tribe is united, but that's just up to the players themselves. Maria then turns to Roland, squinting her eyes, and Roland smiles in reaction. Justin then turns back to Daniela, asking her if there's anyone in particular who could be in trouble tonight, and Daniela says that she herself has always felt in trouble because people just can't get her name out of their mouths. Justin then asks who that would be, and Daniela says that it's nothing against Alec, but he has been leading a lot of these merge votes to take her out. Alec then speaks up, telling Daniela that things change in this game all the time, and he plays based on day-to-day events. Tonight might not be the night he goes for her. Maria then says she's quite surprised because she thought Daniela's name was out there today, but then Alec shakes his head and says he never heard it. Daniela giggles and tells Justin she's just famous out here. Justin then asks Garth if he may have heard Daniela's name today, and as Garth responds, Steph signals to Julian, which catches his eye and he squints in response. She then stares at Maria, and Julian stares ahead in silence for a moment. Justin then asks Julian if tonight's vote is going to strengthen his bonds or possibly create new avenues for him in the game, and Julian stutters as he says he thinks it's a vote where he can prove he's trustworthy to those who trust him back. Justin then asks Hannah if she is someone who is worried for tonight's vote, and Hannah says she feels like she's not the main person in trouble tonight. She was the one vote for Steph last tribal council, and she cleared it up with people and they understood her reasoning. Justin then asks what the reasoning is, if she'd like to share, and Hannah says she was just very confused by all the whispering. Steph then mutters out loud that it was Alec's whispering. Alec laughs and says he knew something was up that night, and he stood correct. Steph says she wouldn't say something was up that night. He made the vote more confusing because he started going to people's ears to change the vote. Alec then tells her that it was basically confirmed that Betty's vote off was pre-planned, and Steph shrugs and says that not all the votes were there until he confused certain people. Justin then asks who those people are, and Maria speaks up and says it was her and Roland. They voted for Betty last second because of the whispering. Daniela smirks and Alex says that sounds like bullshit, but hey, they should all put that Betty vote in the past. They should just focus on today's events. Roland says he agrees, and he's hoping people trust him today and vote with him so they can move forward as a cohesive unit. Justin then says that they can then get to this vote, so everyone prepares.
I'll tally the votes. If anyone has a hidden immunity idol and they want to play it, now would be the time to do so. Alright, I'll read the votes. First vote. Hannah. Hannah. That's 2 votes Hannah. Hannah. 3 votes Hannah. Maria. Maria. 2 votes Maria. Maria. We're tied. 3 votes Hannah, 3 votes Maria. Maria. That's 4 votes Maria, 3 votes Hannah. 14th person voted out of Survivor China and the 4th member of the jury. Maria.
Maria gets up out of her seat and Roland and Shelby look at her in shock. Hannah meanwhile smiles at the jury, and Adam smiles back. Daniela looks down and laughs to herself as Maria puts her torch down next to Justin. Justin then snuffs her torch, and she then turns around to the rest and tells them good game. They all clap for her as she heads out, and Betty whispers to Adam that this was probably the biggest move yet. Justin then tells the tribe to head back to camp, so they all start walking out. Next time on Survivor China, with the season slowly wrapping up, 2 rounds are being showcased back to back, meaning we'll go from 8 players to 6, just before the final episode. Not a single player will let their guard down as the gameplay continues to ramp up, and bridges will quickly be burnt. Everyone wants to take control of this endgame, so time will tell who will have control, and who will lose it. Stay tuned for this next episode and expect the unexpected. Maria's final thoughts. Maria admits she's still processing her elimination because she did not expect 6 votes. She thought the numbers were there to vote Hannah out. The only person she's confident voted with her is Roland, but that's her only guess. Clearly this was Alec's move because he wanted revenge for the Betty vote off, and it seems he got it. Good on him. While it sucks to be voted out, at least she left as one of the clear threats for people in the game. It's quite a compliment.